Hello everyone, and my future self. Mexico, update for Mexico. In total, we spent about 3.5 months in Mexico. On the 7th of April, we flew from Bogota to Cancun, made a connection to go to Oaxaca City. We stayed in Oaxaca City for a week in total, and during those days, we went to a couple of towns around in the area, like half an hour away from the city or something like that. And there's a lot of handcrafts in this small town. You can go to workshops where they're doing the handcrafts, and actually there's one where they make alebrijes, these colorful figures, like fantasy animals. And you get a tour of the workshop. You see the people that are working. They explain the whole process from beginning to end, and they actually give you a small one for you to paint at the end. That was cool. That was a cool experience. We went to another one, and in that one we saw how they were making thread and fabrics, and they were just like manually doing the whole process from the beginning to end. So they also gave us a tour of that. Before I forget, here you can see a map of all the places that we went around Mexico in these 3.5 months, and only missing is the 2 small towns that I just mentioned are not there. Other than that, all the places that we stayed at are here. Okay, so we were in Oaxaca City. We spent 7 days there. Then we took a bus, small bus down to the south, to the coast, and we spent 5 or 6 weeks there. We found a school for Asami. As soon as we arrived, the second day or so, we found a school, and they would take kids for as long as they would be there. And we didn't know how long we were going to stay. We had 2 weeks booked at the Airbnb, but we didn't really know how long we were going to stay. So we're just feeling into it, and every day we would discuss how long we would stay, and we ended up staying 5 or 6 weeks there. It's a very small hippie town, so if you don't like hippie towns, don't go. If you like hippie towns, that's your place. We did go to Huatulco. A friend of mine was there for a weekend. We went to Huatulco and back just to visit him. So after Mazunte, we went to Puerto Scondido, and Puerto Scondido is a much bigger city, and we spent, I think, 5 or 6 days in Puerto Scondido. The last day, or before the last day in Puerto Scondido, we went to some lagoons, a lagoon called Chacagua. We're going to stay 2 nights there, but we only spent 1. They have the bioluminescence thing there, so we did that. At 4 a.m. in the morning, we woke up to go and see that. We only stayed there for 1 night because we didn't like it so much. So we arrived the first day, we saw what was there, and we were like, yeah, there's not much here, so we only stayed 1 night, and then we went back to Puerto Scondido. Then from Puerto Scondido we took a flight and we went to Mexico City. In Mexico City initially we were only for 5 days, and then after 5 days we rented a car for 18 days and we went around Mexico City, all the spots that you see around Mexico City in the map that you're gonna see now. Those we did with the car that we rented. So we started in Huasca de Ocampo. It was a nice town. It gave us a feeling of a town that we know in Colombia, where my brother lives. After that, we went to the Grutas de Tolantongo. This Tolantongo is one of the highlights of the trip. It's amazing, really, really cool place. That was a day trip. We went early in the morning, and then afternoon we just continued our way to Silitha. This is where Edward James had his house, if you know who he is. Otherwise, you can Google it. He made us real house. It's definitely one of its kind. There's nothing else. I have never seen anything else like that. Really cool construction, cool place to visit, recommend it. Then we went to Tamasopo, and Tamasopo is a small town. Town doesn't have much, but around Tamasopo there are some grutas. Grutas means caves in Spanish. That's the word that they use in Mexico. And there's it's not a cenote, but it looks like it. It feels it's in a river and stuff, so it's not a cenote. It's a really, really cool place to visit. We spent 2 nights there, I think. Then from there we went all the way to Bernal. And on the way to Bernal, we stopped at El Mirador Pinal de Amores. There's nothing there, so if you're ever in the area, no need to stop. There's really nothing to see. You can continue all the way to Bernal. Bernal is a nice place. It has a really nice view from the town. It's desertic, and there's the second biggest monolith or rock mountain. I don't remember if it's in Latin America or in America or what, but it's a really big mountain next to it, a big rock, huge rock. And it's really nice being in the town, and then you see the landscape, and then you see that mountain, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. This is a place that people from Mexico City go for the weekend, because it's like 2.5 hours only. From Bernal we were, I think, for 3 or 4 days. Then from Bernal we went to San Miguel de Allende. This is the place where we stayed the longest. We stayed like 5 or 6 days here. From San Miguel de Allende, only one day we went to Dolores de Hidalgo, but by then, when we arrived at Dolores de Hidalgo, we had enough towns, and so we arrived there. We saw the plaza, we saw the cathedral, like the whole check. Okay, yeah, done. Let's have a coffee and go back. And we didn't really find any good coffee. It was pretty bad. We had lunch, and then we went back to San Miguel de Allende. San Miguel de Allende is a nice place, a little bit too Americanized. There's a lot of people from the States that are retired, and then they go to live there. So it is more expensive than all the other places that we were. Something to consider. And we did find a place close to the city center, but not in the city center, so we could walk to the city center pretty easily and enjoy that. So from San Miguel de Allende, we went all the way to the south to Toluca, because we wanted to go to the volcano that is there, a sleeping volcano, and there's lagoons on the top. So it's a nice hike, thousands of meters above sea level. Cannot remember exactly how much right now, 4,000 or something. So we took the car early in the morning. We went to the volcano. You get to a place, you cannot continue, then some trucks will bring you to like a station, and from there you have to walk the rest, which is like from there where the cars drop you to where you can see the lagoons is like 800 meters, and then you can do a route, a hike around the 2 lagoons and so on, and that's a couple of kilometers more. We didn't do it. We were with our daughter, so yeah, we had to carry her all the time, and yeah, it's a bit too much to do the hike, carrying her all the time and so on. So we went back down. We waited for a truck to bring us down, and that was it for that day. And it seems that something happened to the video because it disappeared, so I have to redo it from here. So Toluca is just a town. The city center is nice, but other than that, nothing special. We spent some time in the city center, and then we went the next day. We went early to Puebla, all the way to Puebla. And in Puebla, Puebla is a big city. We liked it. We enjoyed walking the city center and exploring around. There is a lot of really nice graffitis in the walls. That we enjoyed. We were looking for those wherever we would walk through. But yeah, it's a nice city, Puebla. From Puebla, we went to San Andres Cholula. There is a thousands years old pyramid. It's supposed to be the biggest pyramid in the world. Measuring it from the base. It's not all uncovered. You see pieces of it because it's still, part of it is still underground. It's like a mountain grew on top of it. And on top of the mountain, there's a cathedral or a church or something. So not all of the pyramid has been uncovered. You can walk around and you can see what has been uncovered. And there's a tunnel you can go through. Regrettably, because of COVID, the tunnel was closed in the time that we were there, so we couldn't actually go through the tunnel. But yeah, there's a tunnel that you can walk through. Puebla was a couple of nights. We stayed here 2 or 3 nights, and from here we went to Huatepec here, Six Flags. This was just a day trip to, yeah, it's a water park from Six Flags. So we're just enjoying slides and being in the water here. And then we arrived in the evening in Tepoztlan. We also spent, I think, just one night. Really nice place. I think one of our favorite towns that we visited was Tepoztlan. The landscape around the town is amazing because you're in the city, in the town. It's a small town, and you can see the mountains around it, and the rock formations in the town, in the mountains, are just something to behold. They're super nice. It looks like you're in a movie set or something, like in a fantastical world. Really nice. And this was the last destination before we continued back to Mexico City. Met some friends that I had not seen before. And while we were here, Claudia, my wife's sister, arrived. We spent a couple of days here with her. And the day before we continued from Mexico City, Karen, another friend, also arrived. And so the 26th of June, we took a flight from Mexico City all the way to here, Cancun. We arrived here in Cancun. We took a car and we went to Playa del Carmen. We stayed here for 5 days. Then we rented a car and we went to Holbox up here. Holbox, we were only for a couple of nights. It was raining a lot. The taxis in Holbox, they wouldn't go to where our hotel was, so we had some issues getting to the hotel. 2 nights here, and Anuke, Claudia, and Karen, they took a tour to go see whale sharks, and I stayed with Asami in the beach. From Holbox, we went to Valladolid. We spent 3 or 4 nights here, and every day we were checking cenotes, which is my favorite thing of Yucatan. The cenotes are just incredible. And the reason why we wanted to go back to Mexico, because we've been there before with Anuka 6 years ago, but we wanted to go again because of the cenotes, because we really liked it so much. So in Valladolid, we checked the cenotes. We would go in the car to different places around, like no more than 20 minutes away from the town. And actually, one of our favorite cenotes is in the center of Valladolid, right not in the city center exactly. It's like 4 or 5 blocks from the central plaza. Around here, there's a cenote. And from Valladolid, we continued to Tulum. We gave the car back, and in Tulum we stayed like 2 weeks. Another friend, Guido, arrived here to stay with us, and Karen, Guido, and me, we did a freediving course, which was awesome in cenotes. So we have this experience of murky water and then diving down like 8 meters, and after 8 meters, the water would just become super clear and you could see super far, and it was just spectacular. It was one of the best experiences in my life. So we stayed in Tulum for about 2 weeks almost, and from here Karen and Guido, they went away on their own, and Claudia, Anuke, Asami, and me, we took a bus from Tulum all the way to Merida. We spent a few days in Merida. It's a nice town. It's very authentic. It's not very Americanized or touristic, which you will find in Cancun. Super commercial. Playa del Carmen also very, very touristic. Then Tulum used to be much more authentic and not so touristic, but nowadays it's also becoming very touristic. Still not as much as Playa del Carmen, but still getting there. Merida is not touristic yet. Like it's touristic in a sense that it's people go there, but it doesn't feel like it's invaded by tourism or something. Like it still has its authenticity. You can still feel like you're in an authentic Mexican town. And this was our last place before going away from Mexico. We took a bus again from Merida to Cancun. We stayed the night in an Airbnb, and then we took a flight around the 22 of July, I think it was, to Colombia. And that's it for our Mexico trip.